Hello and welcome to the third video with Broadsword Academy Sacramento. We're going to go right where we left off on the last one, so let's get started with the warm-up. Go to the back of your space, and we're just going to advance and retreat over the course of our space. Nice and slow at first, this is just a warm-up. Making sure you're focused on having your weight over your rear leg, and retreat. We're going to do this a lot today, so don't worry about getting too hard right now. Okay. From there, from second position, lunge into third. Check your body position, see if you feel stable, making sure you're not leaning too far forward, too far back. Just kind of feel it out, kind of bob up and down a little bit, stretching out the muscles, getting them used to this position we're going to be in a lot today. Back into second, third. Spend a little bit of time here. Second, third. Okay, go to first. See how that recovery was. Bend down, go to third. Spend a little time. First, bend down, third. First, third. And let's move on to the arm warm-up. Do 10 cut 1 and 10 cut 2 from the shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, making sure you're paying attention to your edge alignment now, okay? Now we're gonna do from the wrist, 10 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Make sure that whole time your hand's not getting loose. If you're finding it kind of drifting to the bottom, slow down, you'll get it eventually. Okay, now we'll move on to drill 1. For drill 1, we're going to advance and retreat along the length of our area, going from inside to outside guard, moving your hand before your feet on your own time. Okay, on this time, we're going to do that same action going forward, because remember the opening, when you're stepping forward, you're giving yourself a lot of time which you can be hit if you move your hand and your feet at the same time. On the retreat, you can move your hand at the same time as your foot, because that stepping backwards gives you extra time by distance, and that will the opening isn't there. You're already retreating on the parry, so that's an okay way to use a little bit of time. Move your hand first. So again, sorry. Okay, now at the same time, you can see this is a little bit more panicky. You're getting attacked. It's a little bit more defensive. You can use it to your advantage though. Okay, next we'll go to drill 2. Before we start drill 2, I just want you to remember that you should pause the video at the end of each of the drills. I'm only going to show you a few times just for the sake of time, but you should practice that until you're feeling comfortable with it, and then come back to the video to watch the next drill. So we're going to do drill 2. We've already done this before. From second position, get into an outside guard. Practice cutting with opposition, rolling through. Inside, practice cutting with opposition, rolling through. Now you're in an outside guard. Move to that inside position to cut with opposition, cut through. And we're doing this from second just for a warm-up. Back to the inside guard, cut with opposition, roll through, outside guard. Repeat as many times as you would like. Then we'll go on to drill 3. Ready? So same exact action. We're just going to do it on the lunge now. Outside, position, lunge through, recover. Inside guard. Cut through with opposition, roll through, recover, inside guard. Move to the outside guard. So opposition, cut through, roll through, inside guard, cut with opposition, roll through, outside guard. Repeat as many times as you would like. Come back for drill 4. So I misspoke. We're actually moving on to demonstration 1 now. I should note now that I'm putting a document down in the description below. It's a link to a Google Doc. Please look at that. It's kind of a little bit more in-depth, or at least a way to record what's going on in these lessons. I'm hoping to use it as a kind of a two-way communication as well. You can leave comments and we can clarify any questions you might have. So on our last drill, we were in our second position, outside guard. We moved over to have opposition during our cut, and we cut, right? So we hit our opponent, let's say, Now, in the drill, what we were doing is we were recovering with that, how, like if we missed, we recover to make it so we're keeping our wrist nice and safe. But in this case, what we're actually happening, where our opponent's sword is going to be here on the forward of our sword, and we attack. Their sword is still here on that, right where we're controlling it. So we do not want to then recover to this outside guard, because if we leave their sword there, it's there to stab us or cut us in some other way. In this case, we control their sword. We actually want to stay in the position where we're in control. So instead of recovering with an outside guard, we're going to recover to an inside guard. Does that make sense? That way our sword is between their sharp blade and our body. So again, with opposition, you control their sword, you're going to recover into second. And then we can move on with the rest of the drill. This is the difference between how drills can work, because we're trying to protect our wrists. Some of you don't have PELs, so if I told you to stop on an imaginary target, that's going to hurt your wrist in time, if you're not used to it. So we're going to roll through to practice as though we missed, which is good practice even in a real fight in case you missed your opponent or their sword, or they move their body out of the way. So it's good to practice this roll through. But if you actually made contact, their sword's going to be over on you this side of your sword. You want to make sure you maintain control of their sword, keeping you safe. Okay, so for drill 4, we're going to basically repeat drill 3, but if you have something to hit, or you can just, we're going to do what I just showed in the demonstration, or if you don't have something to hit, make sure you're nice and slow, so that way when you stop your blade, you're not going to hurt your wrist at this early level of your training. So I'll demonstrate with the PEL first, and then we'll move on to the other one. So we're in an outside guard. We're going to go with opposition with that slight inside, point high, cut through. Their blade's on this side of me. I stay and recover here. Now, I can practice going opposition this way to my outside guard, cut number 2, keeping their blade on that side, keeping control of it. So again, opposition, boom, this blade's over there, keep control, opposition, cut 2, control, nice and safe the entire time. Now, if you don't have a PEL, I'll move over here. Just when you cut through with opposition, be gentle, be slow, don't hurt your wrist yet. It might not be, you don't want to hurt yourself and then you can't practice. So keep it slow. So we're here, recover inside. Outside cut 2, or cut 2 with opposition, nice and slow, make sure you're in control, back. Opposition cut 1, stop, stay in inside guard. Opposition cut 2, stop, make sure you're in control. Don't hurt your wrist, please. We'll move on to a little break. Okay, while we're taking a break from those previous drills, let's talk about breadth versus depth of knowledge. You'll notice that we're spending a lot of time on what would be considered fairly simple things, but focusing on these basics are really important. We're learning footwork, we're learning how to lunge, how to recover, how to parry, how to attack. These things are fundamental, and you'll be using them for everything you do in this system. So if you kind of cheap out now and just move on to the next thing because it's new and exciting and swords are fun, let's learn new things, yes, that's fun, but you need to focus on learning these fundamentals. If you have those core components down, you can win a tournament. You don't need the fancy techniques. Yes, they're helpful, yes, they're flashy, I understand, but the focus on these basics are really important. And then when you learn the next technique, when that flashy thing goes on, if you have all the basics of those simple techniques, you're going to learn that technique faster and you'll be able to execute it better. Versus if you just skimped out now and just, okay, I know how to do cut 1 and cut 2. The Dunning-Kruger effect says I'm a master. If you look at the people who are masters, people who are very experienced, they realize that how little they actually know. And they spend a majority of their time on these basics. If you can execute the basics well, then you're going to do well. And if you can have this foundation to build on, when you learn those fancy techniques, you can actually use them effectively. I'd much prefer you be good at a few things than bad at everything. So with that, let's keep going on with our practice, and we'll just slowly increase the depth of our knowledge, but we can't sacrifice the foundation that we're building today. Okay, next we're going to do drill 5. We're going to start in a second position, outside guard. We're going to slip into first position as though someone is attacking us on the lunge, targeting our left cheek. We're going to slip into first, parry inside guard, making sure your blade is relatively vertical to defend the cheek. And then from here, without moving your feet, deliver a cut 2. So this is if they attacked you and then they were slow on the recovery or paused or maybe even stepped forward. You have their blade on the inside, that side of your sword on your inside line. In this case, their right cheek is exposed. You can just reach out and cut them with a cut 2. You can either stop as though you hit them, making sure you're gentle with your wrist, or from this position, cut 2, roll through to an inside guard, because again, their sword is on that side. If you remember, you're putting your guard to protect you from their sword. You're not doing it just because I told you to. Make your sword keep you safe. It is your shield in this case. So again, from second position, we're going to parry cut to our inside cheek, moving into first, cut 2, or cut 2 with the roll through into the recovery, whichever you prefer, just be gentle on your wrist. Now, move into second position to reset the drill, and we're here, they attack our right cheek with a cut number 1, we parry with a outside guard, making sure you move into that first position, and then right now their left cheek is exposed, so we're going to cut them, we're going to cut them with a cut 1, either stopping or rolling through. So again on that one, you start an inside guard, they cut at your cheek, parry, outside parry, and then cut 1 with a roll through, keeping your feet in position. That's drill number 5. Drill number 6 is this exact same drill, but let's say ideally in this kind of sword fighting, when you lunge, you want to recover back into your safe spot right away. So there's not going to be a lot of times when someone who's relatively skilled is going to allow you to hit them with that quick repose unless you're lightning fast. So we're going to practice that you're not lightning fast that time, or they're faster than they're too fast. So from an outside guard, second position, we're going to parry that cut with an inside parry. We're going to bend our knee down and follow them with the lunge. Cut 2, roll through, recover to second. Now we're on the inside guard, and we're going to parry outside as though they cut your cheek. Bend down, recover, cut, roll through as though you cut their cheek. Go backwards because, again, their sword's on your outside line now. And then we'll reset where they cut your left cheek, parry their cut with their cut, bend down, cut number 2, roll through because their sword's over there, recover to second. Now they're cutting your right cheek, parry outside, making sure that you're nice and stable, bend down, cut 1, roll through, cover outside. Repeat as many times as you'd like, and we'll move on to the next drill. Drill number 7 is going to be much like drill 6. It's basically the same, but we're going to pretend that our opponent is waiting for us to take a step forward, giving them that time initiative to take advantage of us and cut us. So what we're going to do is we're being an outside guard. We're going to step forward. In the time of us stepping forward, we're going to pretend they're a little late just to make it easy so our feet are actually set. We're going to see them deliver a cut number. This is a 1 to our cheek. I may have misspoken in the last drill, sorry. So they're cutting our left cheek. And so we want to make sure that our weight is back on the leg so we don't have to shift back. So this is a good fundamental check. And then their cut's coming in after we take our step. We parry with an inside parry. They're retreating backwards. We bend down, cut number 2, roll through because their sword's still over there. Recover to second. And now we're going to retreat because we were a little too close and we don't want to have this exchange go on forever. So again, outside, step forward. They try to take advantage of our step. So they cut towards our cheek. We parry, bend down, cut 2, recover to second, retreat. Does that make sense? And we'll do that on the other side too. So we're an inside guard. We step forward. They cut out our right cheek. We parry. They cut out our right cheek. We parry with the slip. Bend down, cut 1, roll through. Outside guard, retreat. So advance, do drill 6, retreat back to keep your distance. Repeat as many times as you would like, and we'll move on. Next, we're going to refine a drill we did in lesson 2. If you recall, we were cutting cut 1 and then pretending a cut was coming in towards our left cheek, inside parry. So that let us go into the inside guard, cut 2, recover, outside guard. This is a nice drill. It shows you how to cut 1, cut 2, have the kind of switching between the different parries and guard positions. It's a great way to kind of learn these positions, but it's not really how a lot of fights will actually go down. So if we look here and I decide to cut 1 either with opposition or not, it doesn't matter. I'm aiming for, in this case, his left cheek or their left cheek. I cut 1. They block me. They successfully put their sword in the way, so they stop my sword here. Now their sword is basically on this side of my sword, and there's really nothing there between their sharp sword and my right cheek. So how we practiced in the last drill, you parry here and you hit them in the face. Their sword is not in the way to protect them. There's a panic parry. We'll talk about that later, but we can actually have the tools we already have the tools to defend ourselves correctly in this situation. Now, the issue was when I delivered that cut, I let myself stop on their sword. That allowed them to have no real way for me to protect myself so they can hit me. Now, instead, if we made contact and we basically our sword is on their blade and we pull through like a slicing action, like you're cutting bread or something. Now you make contact, pull through so it clears your blade of theirs, then their blade can kind of just fall down. Allow that slice to roll through into that outside guard. So we're lunge, slice, outside guard, and now our sword is in the outside guard, in between where their blade is and where our face is. So if we stop, we have no protection, we get cut. If we cut, slice, roll through, our sword is in the way and we're safe now. That is kind of how a real fight will go. But this is also why we practice these roll-throughs. Even when we hit something, such as their sword, if we constantly have this muscle memory of we need to slice through and recover to that outside guard, that's going to keep us safe. Panic parries are fine. You're going to need to use them. We'll talk about it later. But this fundamental action is how you'll stay safe. We'll practice that in the next drill. Okay, for this drill, I want you to pretend that this is actually your opponent's sword that they successfully parry them. So in the case of a cut one, their sword is right here. Imagine their face is like right here. So I'm actually aiming for right here. So what we're going to do for this drill is we're going to be outside guard, second position. We're going to attack on the lunge with opposition. Now we made contact with their sword, not their head like we had hoped. Now the action's the same. I made contact, I sliced through. You see how there's this slice action? So again, I don't think I talked about it in the demo. This slice does two things. One, it kind of lets you free your sword. But two, this action, instead of me stopping, a lot of people use that as a cue. I made my parry successfully, and now I'm going to come in and cut him. But if you keep your blade there and slice, this gives you a little bit longer duration where you're applying pressure to their blade, which might slow them down a little bit because they're like, oh, there's still something pushing on my sword. I have to recover, maintain my guard. And then once your blade is free, then like, okay, now I can cut. But by the time your blade's free, you've already recovered to be able to defend yourself. So again, we're in the outside guard, slice through. Then we're in this outside guard, and we're going to recover into first position with that parry outside because they're going for that right cheek. Again, we're going to lunge, cut through, and then parry outside right cheek. Practice on the inside. So we're here, cut with opposition, cut two, slice through into the inside guard, recovering to protect your left cheek. Repeat as many times as you would like. For the next drill, it's the exact same action. This might be a little bit harder just because of the distance management, because your Pel is not actually going to be attacking you. So this one might actually be useful to not have the Pel. So I'm going to step back. So it's the same action, but on your recovery with that parry, you're going to deliver a repost to their cheek with whatever opening is needed. This is actually pretty useful. It's a kind of a trap that you can set. You know your cut's not going to work, so they're going to repost you in a way that you expect. You set that up as repost, and then you have a parry, then you have a lightning quick repost because they were like, oh, I'm going to get them, and they overcommit on their lunge, and you can get them on the parry and then just cut their face. So it's a kind of a trap. We'll talk about tactics another day. But for the sake of the drill, outside guard, lunge, cut through as though they parried, recover back, defending your cheek against the repost, and then cut them in the face in their opening. Then we're on the inside guard. We cut with opposition, cut number two, recover, parry that inside, cut their face. Repeat as many times as you like, we'll move on to the next drill. Okay, we're almost done for the day. Right now we're on drill 10, and maybe by now you're noticing a pattern. We did the cut on with repost without moving our feet. So now we're going to pretend that they actually didn't overcommit on their lunge and they were able to recover in a reasonable time, so we couldn't hit them with that instant repost. So we're going to do the exact same drill. We're going to be in second position, outside guard, cut through as though they parried us, go into first, parrying that outside guard against their repost, and then we're going to follow them on the lunge, bend down, cut one, recover to second position, and then I'll do that again. So it's this exact same drill, just we're reposting with a lunge instead of reposting while in first position. So here we are here, second position, cut one, they parried, I parry in first, successfully, bend down, deliver my repost on the lunge, recover into second position to keep ourselves nice and safe. We pretend we hit them in this case. Inside guard, we will lunge with the cut, recovering into that inside parry. They cut towards our left cheek. We parry, bend down, cut through. We cut them that time, recover to second. So same drill as before, just we're doing it on the lunge. Okay, from there, we're going to do our final drill, drill 11. We've already done everything, but we're going to give it a different name today. So let's pretend that our opponent is one step farther away than I can hit them with just my basic lunge. We're going to do something called the advanced lunge. We're going to be in second position, outside guard. We're going to advance. This puts us in range for our lunge to actually hit. And then we're going to repeat drill 10 just like we did last time. So we're in this position. We cut, recover, parry outside as though they cut to our cheek, bend down, deliver our repost on the lunge, recover into second position, retreat so you're back where you started. So I'll do that again. advance, cut, parry, repost, recover to second, retreat, so we're back where we started. And then you can do that on the other side, inside guard, advance, deliver your cut, recover, parry inside, and then we're going to deliver our riposte on the lunge, recovering into second position, and then retreating into first. That'll conclude drill 11 for the day. That concludes everything I wanted to cover in this third video from Broadsword Academy Sacramento. We're really just covering the basics: advance, retreat, lunge, recover, how to attack, how to parry, how to repost from that parry in different ways. I really do think that if you repeat this video a few times, you're going to really nail down these basics, and when you come to an in-person class, you're going to be just doing fantastic. So remember, take the time, put in the energy, learn these basics, and it'll pay off soon. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.